The Vietnam War, a scar on the American conscience. A conflict shrouded in controversy, its truths remain buried beneath layers of political rhetoric and historical debate. This is a story of the men who fought it, the boys who became soldiers in a land they never understood. This is the gritty reality of their experience. We see the Vietnam War through their eyes. We feel the oppressive humidity of the jungle. We smell the acrid scent of napalm. We hear the deafening roar of helicopters and the staccato bursts of gunfire. This was their reality. A reality far removed from the sanitized version often presented in history books. This is the story of their courage, their fear, their brotherhood forged in the crucible of combat. Imagine stepping off a helicopter. The humid air hits you like a wall. The smell of decay assaults your nostrils. You are in a green hell. This is the Vietnam War. This is the world of the American GI. The jungle is your enemy. It conceals the Viet Cong. It hides deadly traps. The heat is relentless. It saps your strength, makes every movement an effort. Sleep offers little respite. Nightmares of ambush haunt your dreams. You carry the weight of your weapon, your pack, and the fear that clings to you like a second skin. You patrol for hours. Your senses are on high alert. Any rustle of leaves, any snap of a twig could be the enemy. You are in a constant state of hypervigilance, always waiting, always watching. You're a long way from home. The Vietnam War was fought not just on battlefields, but within the minds of the men who fought it. The psychological toll was immense. The constant fear of death, the loss of friends and comrades, the horrors they witnessed, it all left invisible scars. Many suffered from what we now know as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Back then it was called shell shock or combat fatigue, but whatever the name, the pain was real. The nightmares were vivid. The memories wouldn't die. They came home changed men, haunted by what they had seen and done. Some turned to alcohol or drugs to numb the pain. Others withdrew into themselves, unable to connect with the world outside the war. The Vietnam War didn't end for them when they left the battlefield. It stayed with them. A constant companion, a heavy burden to bear. Section 4, When Ghosts Come Marching Home. Returning home wasn't easy. America wasn't ready for its Vietnam veterans. The war had been controversial and the nation was deeply divided over its purpose and execution. They were greeted with indifference, even hostility. There were no ticker-tape parades. Instead, they faced protests and a society that often viewed them with suspicion or outright disdain. No heroes' welcomes. Just a nation struggling to come to terms with a divisive war. The soldiers who had risked everything were now invisible in their own homeland. Many veterans felt betrayed by their government and abandoned by the public. They had served with honor, but now they were left to navigate a world that seemed to have moved on without them. They had risked their lives for a cause that seemed increasingly unclear. The reasons for the war had become muddled, and the sacrifices they made felt unappreciated. They had witnessed atrocities that shook their faith in humanity. The horrors of war left deep psychological scars, and the memories of what they had seen and done haunted them. And now they were expected to just slip back into civilian life as if nothing had happened. The transition was anything but smooth as they struggled to find their place in a society that didn't understand their experiences. But the war had changed them. They carried the weight of their experiences. The memories of combat, the loss of comrades, and the constant threat of danger had left an indelible mark. The memories of fallen comrades, the guilt of survival. These were burdens they carried every day, often in silence as they tried to rebuild their lives. The scars, both visible and invisible. They struggled to find work, to maintain relationships, to find peace. The psychological toll of the war was immense, and many veterans faced ongoing battles with PTSD and other mental health issues. The Vietnam War had followed them home, and for many, It would never truly leave. The ghosts of the past marched alongside them, a constant reminder of a conflict that had forever altered their lives. Section 5. Fire and Fury. The Vietnam War was a brutal conflict, one that left an indelible mark on history and on the lives of those who experienced it firsthand. It was a war that pitted ideologies against each other, with the United States and its allies on one side and the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong on the other. From the steamy jungles to the bombed-out cities, death was a constant companion. Soldiers trudged through dense foliage, always on high alert, knowing that danger could strike at any moment. The cities, once bustling with life, were reduced to rubble, a stark reminder of the war's devastating impact. Battles raged with a ferocity that defied comprehension. The intensity of the combat was unlike anything seen before, with both sides employing every tactic and weapon at their disposal. The air was thick with the sounds of gunfire, explosions, and the cries of the wounded. Each side fought with a desperate determination, driven by a belief in their cause and a will to survive. The soldiers, many of them young and inexperienced, faced unimaginable challenges and displayed remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. The Tet Offensive, a surprise attack launched by the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong, shook the American public's confidence in the war effort. It was a coordinated series of attacks on more than 100 cities and outposts in South Vietnam, and it demonstrated the enemy's ability to strike at will. It showed the enemy's resilience and challenged the narrative of American progress. The images of fierce fighting and the high number of casualties were broadcast into American homes, leading to growing anti-war sentiment and protests across the United States. The Battle of Hue, a bloody month-long struggle for control of the ancient city, became a symbol of the war's brutality and the high cost of victory. House-to-house fighting raged, with soldiers engaging in close-quarters combat in a desperate bid to gain control of the city. Casualties mounted on both sides, with many soldiers paying the ultimate price. The human cost of the war was staggering, with countless lives lost and many more forever changed by the physical and emotional scars of battle. These battles, and countless others like them, left their mark on the men who fought them. They witnessed unimaginable horrors, from the loss of comrades to the destruction of entire communities. The psychological toll of the war was immense, with many soldiers struggling to cope with the memories of what they had seen and done. They performed acts of heroism and brutality, often in the same breath. The line between right and wrong blurred in the heat of battle, and soldiers were forced to make split-second decisions that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. And they lived with the consequences long after the guns fell silent. The war may have ended, but its impact continued to be felt for years to come, as veterans returned home to a country that was often unprepared to support them. The legacy of the Vietnam War is one of both courage and tragedy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. Section 6. The My Lai Stain, the My Lai Massacre. A name that sends chills down the spine of any American. It is a chapter in history that many would prefer to forget, but it remains etched in the collective memory of a nation. It is a stark reminder of the dark side of war, a symbol of the moral complexities that can arise in the fog of combat. The My Lai Massacre stands as a testament to the horrors that can unfold when humanity loses its way amidst the chaos of battle. On March 16, 1968, American soldiers from Charlie Company entered the village of My Lai. They were on a mission, driven by the belief that they were hunting Viet Cong fighters. Instead, they found unarmed civilians. The villagers, who were simply going about their daily lives, were caught in the crossfire of a war they had no part in. Women, children, elderly. They were rounded up, herded into ditches, and systematically murdered. The brutality of the act was beyond comprehension, leaving a scar that would never heal. The official death toll is over 500. Each number represents a life cut short, a family torn apart, and a community devastated. But the true number may never be known. The chaos and confusion of the massacre left many questions unanswered. and the full extent of the tragedy may never be fully understood. The massacre shocked the world and further fueled the anti-war movement in the United States. It became a rallying point for those who opposed the war, highlighting the moral and ethical dilemmas faced by soldiers and civilians alike. It raised uncomfortable questions about the conduct of American soldiers and the nature of the war itself. How could such an atrocity occur? What does it say about the human capacity for violence and cruelty? My lie became a stain on the American conscience. It forced a nation to confront its own actions and the consequences of its decisions, a symbol of the dark side of humanity. It serves as a grim reminder of what can happen when the lines of morality are blurred and the value of human life is disregarded. A reminder that even in the midst of war, there are lines that must never be crossed. The My Lai massacre stands as a solemn lesson for future generations, a call to remember the past and strive for a more just and humane world.